friends. Hope you're doing well. So today we're doing some educational ASMR, and I'm going to explain how a Zamboni works. So this is my little Zamboni. I think this is actually a vacuum. I got it for Christmas one year. It's pretty cool. I just keep it on my desk to remind me of the times when I used to drive a Zamboni. So, obviously, this is actually pretty accurate. You know, it's got a little Zamboni. But what's interesting is, if you didn't know, Zamboni is a brand. It is not what these are called. These would actually be called ice resurfacers. And there's two main companies. There's Olympia and Zamboni. So there's something you might not have known. It's kind of like a Xerox Band-Aid thing. So let's go over kind of the different parts of the Zamboni. We obviously have the driver's seat with the steering wheel. It's got the knob on it for turning, because you have to turn a lot. And Zambonis typically can only turn really good one way. It could go the other way. It's such a huge, wide turning radius. So, and they're really only meant to go one way. Also, if you didn't know, Zambonis cost like $120,000, $130,000, $140,000, $150,000. Them's not cheap. There is a brush on it. And what this is for is kicking the snow off the boards and up underneath it so that it can catch it. So this is the sled here. And you might see there's a wheel here. That's actually pretty good accurate. The wheel changes the depth of the blade that's on the sled. And the sled both cuts ice, picks ice up, and dumps water and smooths it out behind it. So this part up here, this is the bucket. So this, not on this one, but on real Zambonis, the white part comes up and it dumps the snow out. The blue part is where the batteries and the water tanks sit, unless it's a propane one, in which case it would just be the water tank, I guess. I've never driven a propane one. Anyway, so how it works is the Zamboni comes along. It has a blade in the front, so it cuts off a really thin layer of ice and scoops up ice. Obviously, on the sled here, you can't see it because there's not on there, but there's augers, and they just spin the ice to the center, and then there's a center auger, so it kind of works like a giant snow blower. It just leaves water behind it. So, yeah, that's kind of it. It's a really simple machine. It doesn't have a huge skill curve. It's a little nerve-wracking to drive it for the first couple times, but you get the hang of it, and after a while, it just becomes kind of second nature. So up on the controls, you have a couple switches. That's to start the augers and to drop the sled, that's all hydraulics. There's a spinny knob. There's the turning thing for the blade, but then there's also it's a water control, so it's kind of just a valve that opens and closes it. And then you might have seen a plunger, which a lot of people that don't know how Zambonis work think that's like a pump to get the water going. It's not. Actually, what it's doing is sometimes there's the snow gets cut up or gets mushy in the augers, and so it's just we call it the plunger, but it just kind of chops up the snow a little bit and lets it go up the auger a little easier. So that's how it works. I want to show real quick. This is a video I found. It's a POV video of me driving a Zamboni way back. I think this was in like 2000. I stopped working at the ice rink in like 2008. So 2007 maybe is when this video was taken. So enjoy this video here. that's a Zamboni. That's how it works. It's pretty simple. It's fun to drive. It's fun to give people rides on it. I used to just like zone out and cruise on, listen to some tunes. There's a couple stories with the Zamboni. So we had a rule that if anybody put a puck down on the ice before the Zamboni was done, that was it. I mean, technically, the kids weren't even supposed to be on the ice at all because it's a liability, but it was like they would all get on the ice and like stretch, and they would just keep pushing. But if they put a puck down, that was it. We'd just pull off the ice and they'd be like, okay, that's it. There's your ice. Because if a puck got in there, if it got caught in the auger, two things could happen. And I've seen both of them happen. One, the augers will literally rip the puck in half. Two, the puck will get stuck in the augers, especially if it gets caught in the vertical one. That's the Zamboni's down for the day because the repair requires taking the sled off, taking all these parts off to get into the access of the vertical auger. And so it's like, we can't have that, it just wouldn't, like we can't just explain to all the customers like, sorry, the ice just doesn't get clean anymore because some idiot kid, so it didn't happen often, but it on a couple occasions where the kids would put the pucks down and be like, they knew the rules, so we'd pull off, and the coaches would be angry, and I'd be like, you know what, you should be angry at yourself because you should be out here watching your kids because they're idiots. And then the coaches would take it out on the children, and the children would have to, what's called a bag skate, where essentially, it's called a bag skate. I think that the etymology comes from, it's called a bag skate because the bag of pucks is not there. So I don't know why it's called a bag skate. I've heard it called a trash can skate. I've heard it called a lot of different things, but the idea essentially, I've seen it where the coach will put a trash can on the ice and he will make the kids skate and do cardio and like do suicides, drills, just conditioning drills until someone pukes, and that's when they can get the pucks out after someone throws up. And so I've seen kids like who are very well conditioned and they just like can't, and they just go and they stick their fingers in their throat to get it over with. I've seen there's been times where we, on a sort of similar vein, one time the kids kept trashing the locker room. They kept leaving it dirty. They weren't cleaning up after themselves. So we just told them like they don't get a locker room for the week. And they were just like, what? And we're like, go get dressed in your cars like the little kids, because if you're going to act like little kids, we'll treat you like little kids. And so they're getting dressed in the lobby, and the coach comes in, and he's like, why are my guys getting dressed in the lobby? And I was like, because they can't keep their locker room clean, so they don't get one. And he's like, okay, I'll take care of it. So kids get all laced up, and he gets them out, gets them on the ice, and he's like, all right, everyone off the ice. So the guys, the whole team's off the ice. He tells them, take your skates off. And then for the next hour of practice with their gear on, no shoes, just socks, or some of them skate barefoot, he made them clean the entire rink to like be like, this is your house, this is the home, because this is like travel teams, like this is, treat it with respect. Like it's bush league that you're not showing respect to the ice rink. And so the guys in full gear, like underneath the bleachers, picking stuff up. It was great. Man, I wish camera phones were like actually good back then. I would have so much photos of that. So there's that. One time somebody got their thumb chopped off in the Zamboni, so when this goes up, this isn't the best representation because there's a little thing, there's like a ledge there where the auger comes up, right? And so there's a window where the vertical auger shoots the snow into the bucket, and on that, it would be like on this blue part, like right here, there's just like, it's just covered all around with signs like, don't stick your hand in here, and like pictures like, your hand will get cut off, because that's the auger, it's super powerful. And for whatever dumb reason, the kid stuck his hand in there. I don't know what he was thinking, and it cut his thumb off at the knuckle. So he got pretty good insurance payment. I think it was like $20,000 or $30,000 was what the rumor was, to not sue the Rink or the insurance company. It's like, you stuck your hand in the hole that's covered in signs that say don't stick your hand in this hole or you'll lose your fingers. So that was just idiot. What else? I'm trying to think of what else, like other exciting drama. Not a lot of other exciting drama really happened with the Zamboni. I drove it drunk a couple times. In part, like once because we were doing what's called ice maintenance, which is just like, think of like landscaping. You know, you have to want to keep the grass good. Like you have to do that with ice. So you have to run an edger on the corners because the ice tends to build up in the corners because it just centrifugal force sends the water out as the Zamboni makes the turn. So it's basically like a lawn mower, and it kind of like cuts. It brings the edges back down. Then there's hose flooding, which is you just take a hose and you just water the rink with. So it just adds a lot more water than the Zamboni can, and then you leave it overnight to freeze up, so it can add some depth when your ice is low. There's also just like doing cross cuts. So instead of going the long way, you go the narrow way, and so that helps get rid of some of the deep gouges. So like when we'd have like tryout camp, or when like the college team would come before they had their own ice, they would come practice at our ice, especially when they'd have like camp, you know, before the season started. They would just torch the ice, so we do a lot more ice maintenance because we're cutting more off, you know. And so oftentimes, because the main job was hose flooding, and to do that, you just have a hose, and you'd be standing on the ice for like an hour, you know, it's you and another person who like helps with the hose. And so we would get drunk, and on other occasions it was like I had to come in on my day off, and I had been drinking, and I was like, I'm drunk, and they're like, well, you have to get here. I was like, but I'm drunk. They're like, we don't care, come anyway. And then one time, which I already told that story, if you go back a couple ice rink stories, about me driving the Zamboni drunk, because I was like hanging out with this girl and we got torched, and I came into work the next day, having not slept and having drank like most of a bottle of vodka. So not my best day. Anyway, yeah, if you have questions about Zambonis, let me know. I'd love to answer them. I do miss driving it. It was very zen-like and meditative, but I feel like I'm getting that same thing making these videos for you lovely folks. So, you know, I'm still getting my time to turn my brain off and just let it go and do something. So, yeah. Anyway, I hope you're doing well. I hope you learned something. If you learned something, hit the like button. If you have questions, leave a comment. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. And other than that, thank you for watching. I hope you're doing